Hello everyone, welcome to Talking Here with Dr. Laz, your favorite health program on television, reaching you as usual from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. My name is Dr. Laz Eze. Yes, today on the program, we'll be looking again into residency training in Nigeria. Yes, this is not the first time we'll be talking about residency training, and issues affecting residents doctors is something that we keep talking about because teaching hospitals and tertiary health facilities in the country is predominantly being run, in terms of service delivery by resident doctors. And I have the president of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, who will be joining me today to discuss on a whole lot of issues, not just affecting residency, but healthcare or tertiary medical care in Nigeria. Who are resident doctors? I'll just give some intro to that. These are medical doctors who have graduated after 6+X years of training in the country. X Nigerians who relate to that number because of interruptions for various reasons that do occur in the course of training. And of course, they've done their housemanship or internship. They've gone through youth service, and they are medical officers. So at medical officer level, if you want to specialize in any aspect of medical practice, you now go into residency training. So there is an examination that is written that is called primaries. That's the name. So that when one passes that, you get admitted into the training program in any of the accredited or approved health institutions in the country. The university teaching hospitals or federal medical centers, as well as some private hospitals or even district hospitals in the case of Abuja, have approvals to train medical doctors in different specialties of medical practice. So for those who are going through this, you have those who are called registrars, you have those who are senior registrars, after meeting some requirements and passing some exams, after which they become consultants, and consultants means they are specialists within that area of training. So I just try to explain it in the simplest possible terms. So that's what residency training is about. And when they become consultants, they are specialists and they get appointed in various hospitals where they practice what they've been trained for. Residency trainings could take as much as 5, 6, 7, or even 8 years, depending on the area of specialty and also depending on the speed at which the institution conducts that. We are going to take a break, and when we return, you'll be meeting my guest. He was on our show some weeks ago where we discussed establishment of new hospitals, and we have me again today to talk about sundry issues affecting medical practice in Nigeria. Do stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to Talking Here with Dr. Laz, your favorite health program on television. Yes, with me is Dr. Godiya Ishaya, the president of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. He's also a senior registrar in internal medicine, cardiology department to be precise, at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital in Northeast Nigeria, Bauchi State to be precise. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Well, good day, viewers. Thank you, Dr. Laz, for having me on your program today.
Thank you, sir. So you resumed in September 2021 as the president of NARD. And it was during the period of strike, nationwide strike action. There was a lot of tension, anger, and a lot of issues. And also many of your members were very upset with Nigerian Medical Association and some of the role it played and all of that. And in that atmosphere, you became president. How was it like? I didn't envy you that period because there was huge pressure and expectations on both sides. The federal government was pulling on one side, NARD members were also pulling. What was it like when you took over?
Well, thank you very much. As you rightly said, it was actually a very tough one because coming into a position of leadership at that kind of period, it's never easy at all. I don't think there has been many of the presidents of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors that had come into power to face those kinds of challenges. But I can say that I had a very good cooperating and very, very understanding NOC members, as well as the NEC members, who actually reason with us and see to it that, okay, this was a new government that needed all the goodwills to be able to operate. And of course, when we met with the government and other stakeholders who were involved in resolution of the crisis, we were able to extract some commitment, which gave us the understanding, and we have followed through on those commitments. And so far, I can say that even though everything is not yet uhuru, but we have made significant progress and we have made significant achievement, and that is what leadership entails, to be able to give to the people what actually they desire to have. And so far, we have been able to do significantly well in that regard.
Okay, that's good to know. So let's get into some of the specific issues that led to the strike and know how much of it has been resolved, because Nigerians are really tired of the regular interruptions. In fact, to a lot of persons, whenever resident doctors are mentioned, what goes to go to their mind is strike. You know, I'm sure some persons will be wondering if there is another impending strike when they see you on air. So the medical residency training fund was a major issue. And I recall that when the strike was suspended last time, you faced a lot of criticism because people were like, they've not received a lot, and the reason for the strike was because of backlog of payments and a lot of issues that has to do with the payment. So has all resident doctors in Nigeria been paid the medical residency training fund as we speak?
Well, thank you very much. I cannot say that all have been paid, but I can say that over 99% of my residents have all been paid their 2021 medical residency training fund.
Okay.
Well, let me give you a background, because when we took over, there was already meetings that had held between the federal government and the executive of the tertiary health institutions. The minister directed that all the federal tertiary health institutions provide the ministry with the list of resident doctors who were into training in their respective institutions. Okay. So that had already been collated. And when we came on board, we realized that actually the list that was submitted by some of the chief executives, actually,
that means the chief medical directors?
Yes. Okay. Omitted, it can be chief medical directors in teaching hospital or and medical directors in federal medical centers. Okay. So we discovered that some of our members were visibly omitted. Okay. So we approached the government and we argued that no, this can't be the total list of our residents within those respective hospitals. So we were able to strike a commitment, or rather an understanding with the government, that we can actually provide, rather we can work with the chief executive to submit
and update the list.
Updated list. So we were able to get those lists that were earlier submitted before we came on board, and we sent it to our center presidents, requesting them that they should look into those lists we provided onto them and see if there's any of our members who were not on that list, so that they can work with the chief executive and provide. So the process started.
In summary, you were able to update the list,
yes,
and
got
it back to the government.
We were able to update the list, but when we were trying to do that, we realized that a list which was separate from which was the list that was actually coming from the Federal Ministry of Health was used in making the payment. So when that happened, we realized that a lot of people were omitted in the payment, and that we had to now get back to the ministry and complain that no, the list used was not the authentic list, and with that, the payment was recalled, and we were able to have it recalled. And so far, the problem we are even having now is because of repayment of those who have been confirmed to be residents, and their payment were recalled. So those that's the process that we're still on. If apart from that, I can say almost everybody have been
at least for 2021.
For 2021, yes.
Okay.
And for the
any idea on when 2022 payment may start?
For the 2022, already it was budgeted for in the 2022 budget, and as at the last time I know, money is already in the envelope of the National Postgraduate Medical College, who are statutorily responsible for making the payment for the residency training fund. And we are hoping that that can be paid as early as possible. But we have not been able to push much because the National Postgraduate actually came up with communication that they intended to increase examination fees and other fees.
Okay.
And as well, there was...
Sorry, I may have to, because there are a lot of things we need to talk about,
yes,
and time is really short. Okay, so what that means, we're not sure of when the payments will be made, but it's in progress.
Yes, it's in progress. We are trying to tidy up some things, just as I said, the new DTA circular that came and the new examination fees. We want to marry them together so we'll know exactly what rate are we going to be using.
Okay, that's fine. Year. What about hazard allowance? During COVID-19, there was an upward review using certain formula, not just for doctors, but various cadre of healthcare workers. Are you satisfied with that upward review in hazard allowance? As we speak, how much does NARD members get as hazard allowance?
Well, when the circular for the hazard allowance, before the circular came, we had several engagements with the government. And in the spirit of true collective bargaining, we were expecting that after the last negotiation we had with the government, we are going to come together, have a document signed that this was what it was supposed to be for the hazard allowance, but that did not happen. However, we saw a circular unilaterally released by the government, apportioning some amount to the Nigerian doctors as well as other health workers as the new hazard allowance. So in that circular, I can say actually there were some good things there, but however we were not satisfied with it. The good things there on the circular was that actually the long agitated issue that we had then to have at least dichotomy between those who are in the co-clinical service who are more exposed to hazards and those who are not actually much exposed to hazard. We saw that actually that our request was actually attended to. But however, the request that it should drive its basis from the basic salary, which we felt we will avoid future agitation for new hazard allowance rate, because whenever there's increment in salaries or new minimum wage, the whole thing goes without us having to agitate for a new rate. But however, the government did not implement that, so we felt that was the fundamental basis for our own agitation, and because it wasn't carried, we wrote a letter rejecting it, and the government replied us through the Ministry of Labor and Employment that we were not directly involved in the negotiation, but NMA negotiated for all the doctors in Nigeria, and as such, it's NMA that we reject, not us who were not directly on the table. But we said actually we agitated for the hazard allowance, and we need to have to be heard, and so we are still on it. But however, a new rate has come on board and is yet to be implemented. We hope it will be implemented so that we won't have to come and be fighting for we'll come and be fighting for arrears of the months that were not paid.
Okay, very quickly before we go for another break, the MD program recently introduced by the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria. Can you speak about it? Some of NARD members are asking questions around it and things like that. What do you have to say to that?
Well, you know, the major problem that we had with the MD program was most of our members, based on what I understand, were saying was that there was no need of having to do another course or rather training because the fellowship is already all encompassing. It has what it takes even above the PhD when it comes to clinical practice and training of medical or clinical students in the medical field, because that is what is obtainable almost everywhere across the globe. So it was not very welcome because most of us felt it was a deliberate attempt to undermine the credibility, or rather to reduce the weight of the fellowship, which have always been above even a PhD across the globe. When you're talking about clinical practice, so those were actually the reason for the apprehension. But you see, Nigeria, we actually discuss more of a certificate rather than what those things entail. And if you look at it in terms of clinical practice, you will agree with me that if you find out from across the globe, you will find out that the fellowship is the highest degree that, or rather is the highest training that one can attend when it comes to clinical practice. And that is what you need to train a medical student and not
medical
PhD.
Doctors as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. The next segment will talk about bullying in the medical profession. We'll talk about, I'll ask you about the relationship between NARD and NMA. Has this significantly, not just your leadership, but some of the issues that cause concern been resolved and all of that. So do stay with us. We'll be right back and conclude this conversation with the president of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Ishaya Godiya. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to Talking with Dr. Laz, your favorite health program on television. Yes, I've been talking with the president of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Dr. Godiya Ishaya from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi, Northeast Nigeria. I'll be discussing various issues affecting residency training and medical practice in Nigeria. So much to talk about. We'll try to be a bit more fast about it. So, bullying in the medical profession. Let me confess, one of the reasons I didn't do residency training is the kind of bullying I observed as a medical student that resident doctors do went through from some consultants, not all of them. And I didn't see myself having the temperament to go through that. It's something of concern. Some have discussed about mental health aspects of it. Some feel it's a culture, so people should just not complain and go through it. What are your thoughts around it? Is this something of significant concern to you as the president of NARD?
Well, you see, the truth is we as NARD don't condone any form of bullying against any member in whatever shape or form. But most of the time, the trainers of the resident do believe that residency training is just like a military. You are supposed to have some level of can I say, readiness at all time to be able to navigate a situation. Because when you are faced with a patient, if you are not seriously minded and or mentally alert, you won't be able to give in the best. So oftentimes the trainers believe that if they are so playful or so friendly to you, you may not take some instruction and implement
Is it about
at the
being
time.
playful or friendly, or could it just be being professional?
Yeah,
Because
well,
sometimes some people even go beyond professional stuff and sending some domestic errands on their junior colleagues and threaten them with not signing up for their exams
no,
if they appeared not to be doing that.
yes, for those ones are the aspect I'm telling you that we are working on, because the last time I've been in the ministry for quite some time, and we realized or we understood that some of our members were not actually signed for exams because they had probably disobeyed, or rather did not want to subject themselves to this kind of treatment by sending them to go and run
Do
an
school
errand
runs and other
for
things.
for the trainers. And we look at it and strongly front at it. We have lodged in a formal complaint with the ministry, which we are looking at it. Whoever is found doing that, they are going to be sanctioned.
Does NARD have a desk where members could lay complaints? You know, because some people are afraid to even speak out.
No, we have desks. All complaints are usually, as a NAT, are channeled through the center leadership. Okay. The center leadership convey the same complaint to the national, and the national will now take appropriate action and revert back to the local centers and give them direction as to what to do. So those actually, we have a very open communication system that goes back and forth, and it's been very, very effective.
Okay, that's good to know. We have about 3 minutes to round up. Yeah. So there's been debate around the capacity of medical doctors in providing the desirable leadership in teaching hospitals and federal medical centers, and some other health professionals say we can do it better. And I know doctors will say, no, we are the team leads and stuff like that. From where you observe, do you think, what are the things you think we need to improve? I don't want to take you into the debate of who should head. I know naturally you want to insist that medical doctors should head, but what are areas do you think there should be improvement in the administration of health institutions in Nigeria?
Well, let me say that if you look at it globally, and you look at most studies that have done, will tell you when it comes to tertiary health institution management, or rather health institution management, the head of the institution should be a doctor. The reason is you have understanding of everything that goes on in a hospital setting, and you know exactly what should be done and not to be done. And these have been tested by several studies across the globe. So I think the major issue is people tend to look at the health system in isolation. You know, we are in a system in a country called Nigeria. You take Nigerian doctors and put them in other systems, they function very, very well and do very, very well. So why is it not so in Nigeria setting? It means the whole system is not very, very well supportive, and because of that, an individual institution cannot just be an island. So that is what is the problem. And also, I felt that the training on leadership, or the leadership training, should also be incorporated into residency training, so that we have a lot of skills to do some more leadership
And
training.
management as
yeah,
well.
and management skills.
Financial management skills.
Which I can say so far, even with the one we are doing, our chief executive have done very, very well. If you look at it, it's only in the health system now that you have some semblance of semblance of discipline and the military. Aside from that, anywhere you go, you have problem. It's only in the health system today that you go as a patient. If you are not treated, you have the right to complain, and your complaint will be heard.
Would you support a suggestion that for anybody to be a medical director, a chief medical director, especially in big health institutions like the FMCs and teaching hospitals, should have at least a master's in administration or business administration?
Well, I can say
yes or no?
Well, yes. I will ensure that, because that will improve on the skill. It's not just some people who have those degrees have proven to add some value,
better skills,
some value to the management skills. But we have seen also those who don't have and have done superlatively well.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I wish to continue this conversation, but our time is up now. Okay. A major concern for those, because I've had conversation with persons in Ministry of Finance, Budget and Planning, and they will tell me, Dr. Laz, you guys are always asking for more money, you know. What are you doing with the ones we are given? So there is need for more value for money, and that transcends across all boards, you know, all around, those in administration, both in public health department, administrative, and also teaching hospitals. There are questions about the IGR, the monies that are generated, what is it being used for? You know, so I think NARD, we have a lot of work to do, even though it's a tough one, because the managers in the teaching hospitals are your bosses and trainers. So sometimes when you talk too much, you get threats, you know. So,
well, is it only in teaching hospitals? And that's why I was telling you that we have systemic issue in the country which needed to be addressed holistically.
Okay, so we pray that gets addressed as quickly as possible, because Nigerians need better value for the monies that are available, in as much as we also need more funding for health. I really want to thank you very much, Dr. Godiya Ishaya, President of NARD, for spending this time with us.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much. If you are a bit lost in the conversation, please forgive us. It's very necessary talking about these issues, because tertiary healthcare is very important, and we need to make our hospitals work optimally for the Nigerian people. That's the show for today. Thank you for watching. My name is Dr. Laz Eze. See you same time, same station next week. Bye for now.